All right, folks, we've actually just jumped straight back in. This is the time where Jail's going to ask a question. I really have no idea, and I'm going to say shoot based upon our conversation.
Right. Well, so for me, obviously in our conversation, we talked about when we went in the squat rack, and, there's so much, what we talked about, we've had a lot of discussion on. So the question that I'm going to ask, because it's relevant to, coaches, my field, what I do is, in your opinion, do you think that when someone squats 1,000 pounds, they should just be belly breathing through no matter how they squat, what weight they squat? Should they be belly breathing through everything?
All right. So I would say when we have reached that point, there's a whole lot of steps that come along long before that. So I would say that if the principle of breathing and zone one truly is the way of the body, then if as a principle it therefore should be a truth. And if it's a truth, there's no place that it's not true. So it's not like, oh, and when we reach 500 pounds, that's the moment we go back to the other way. And so just because it hasn't yet been done, and we can't just click, the big thing is just like with the shooting, when you went from 200 to 300 to 400 to 500 yards, each time that distance gets extended, there's more pressure, there's more doubt, there's more hesitation, which means you're going to be less aware, less mindful, less connected to what's going on, which means it may look like breathing, it may look like zone one, but the fact that there's oh my God, it's 1,000 pounds, this shit could go really bad, we already have a problem. So the work would have to be overcoming that, building the confidence, putting in the safety. It's exactly the conversation we had in Columbus when we had Susan and Spud and at the dinner table, and we were and basically saying we will at some point do a workshop on it. Where and we got I think we got about 7 or 8 volunteers from the group, and these are all serious heavy powerlifters. And because the way I see it with powerlifters is, if you haven't had 5 major surgeries, you're not considered a real lifter. So therefore,
that's true.
Yeah, we may load you with 1,000 pounds and ask you to belly breathe, and you break your legs. Celebrate it. You might become part of an elite club. 10 surgeries. So there we've already mitigated the risk of, okay, so what if it fails? But the idea would be, if this is a principle, it should remain true no matter what. The fact that we haven't quite found the path to that yet, that's okay. And it's certainly not a, hey, let me go out tomorrow, having listened to us have this conversation, and I think this is my belly, and I'm going to just, it's kind of like, Jail, when we do the unlocking the breathing system, I always say you can use a coffee mug. And at the same time, I also have to say, please, no hot coffee in there. Because if you burn yourself, it's not our fault. And people always laugh. And I go, I'm telling you this because people have done it.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's that wonderful thing. A friend of mine, Tim, said the most wonderful thing, which I always love, which is common sense is not so common. So the idea would be, yes, this is what I think is the right way to do it, but we're not there yet. We haven't got the belief, we haven't got the it's kind of, but that's why we want to do it in an environment that's a safe environment where we can push the boundaries safely, knowing we can manage the risk and then see if it's possible.
Well, I would tell you that when I got in that squat rack and you asked me to do that and you opened that up as a possibility, I mean, I thought you're out of your fucking mind. And
I am, just in case you weren't sure.
well, that opinion
for a long time.
That opinion hasn't changed. However, on that subject, it's shifted. And the thing with that is that now with my understanding and actually hearing you say that, and even just, as you pull and start to learn more, that helps clarify for me, because I actually tell people about this, and I now 100% believe that breathing and movement should be independent. However, that's 100% body dependent, and there's a brain that does shit that's crazy, that changes stuff in our body. And so and this is that, right? It's the play, right? And so it's, to me, I think if you could just blank everything and just do it 100%, it would work beautifully. Yeah. However, there's obviously things, so you explain in the safety part,
developing a process, and you know what's cool about that? It's we don't know, but this is what, based upon this philosophy, we believe it should be, and the fact that it hasn't been done, yay, and the thing is, like, let's, I'm trying to what pops into my mind. I think it's in the book Rise of Superman, but I could be wrong. It could be something else. But Tony Hawk, skateboarder, doing amazing, crazy things, a whole number of turns, like on a ramp, and then some kid 10 years old comes along and mimics what Tony Hawk did. 10 years old. Why? Because when he was born, all of those thresholds of impossibility had already been broken by Tony Hawk. This kid comes along and all of this stuff's possible. So that's his starting point. So we're up against an old, archaic system. And, like years ago, I went to Dublin in Ireland. Not
Dublin, Ohio. Not
Dublin,
Ohio. Though.
It was funny. I was having a conversation.
I have a gym in Dublin, Ohio.
Yeah. So I was having a conversation with someone on a plane, and she'd said to me, where are you coming from? And we had just left Hamburg, Germany, and I'd been with Vladimir Klitschko, heavyweight boxing champion. And I went, oh, yeah, I was just doing this stuff with Vladimir. And suddenly 3 people from behind me on the plane were almost over going, oh, Vladimir, da, da, da. Turned out the kid was the Irish boxing champion, just junior champion, and he was having a problem. So on the plane, as you do, we did some quick things. And whoa, all different. And that was his mom that was talking to me, and the dad next to her. And they then invited me over to Dublin to work with this kid. And they had their own boxing ring in their house, and there was a Cuban coach, Patrick, I think was his name, and there were some Cuban fighters that were all gold medalists that were training there. So we were all having fun doing this stuff. And I showed Patrick a strike technique, which Vladimir and I had been playing with, and I'd shown him. And he says to me, that's impossible. Doug, I've trained gold medalists in the Olympics and best in the world at all these levels. And I know, because I can hear, that you know absolutely nothing about boxing. And yet, when you hit my fighters, they look terrified. And you're just standing there smiling. And I said, but I'm doing what makes sense to me as a principle in the body. And then we're applying it into a movement. And so it was really interesting. So that evening, and Patrick was awesome. What a wonderful man. He then went that evening to a boxing studio, a lot of old coaches, and he showed them. And he said, it was a mixed bag, Doug. He said half of them were like, that is amazing, in their weird Irish accents. The other half were like, what's his background? What has he ever done in boxing? What is it? And he goes, he doesn't even know. Well, then tell him to fuck off. It's like, and he said it was really weird. The one half was like, holy crap, something new. So the other half, who are stuck in the way it's always been done, are then have all this feeling coming up, this threat emotion, whatever, tell the guy to bugger off. And so, I've got this written up here. And to me, curiosity is the future of learning. And so I'm going into that going, guys, I'm not an expert in boxing. I'm good at the body. I understand what it can do. have you considered, instead of doing it this way, doing it that way? Have you considered the most common injury in boxing is this, because of that, and if you did this, the risk is gone and your fighters will probably win. That kind of thing. Why can't we take that same thinking, curiosity, to powerlifting? Not saying it's like these principles should translate over, but I don't know. That's why we test everything. That's why we play. But if you go, it has to have this. Well, where's the environment for learning? Where's the environment for creativity and innovation? And if there's no fun, if there's no creativity, if there's no innovation, you won't have me there because I'm bored as hell. Because I also used to punch walls. Well, I punched walls. But for me, the kick, my system, the creativity, the innovation, the enjoyment, the connection, the coming up with new ideas, that drives my system. That gets my system hyped up. And if I already knew what the answer was, why would I have to be there? How boring. Well, So, but yes, when it allows, we'll give it a go. And the thing is that this is any area, any field. We know that we can apply these principles and almost be, inverted commas, experts in our field and bring those expertise into something that we are not. Hell, I worked with the Miami Dolphins in 2008. I knew about anything in the NFL and American football, nothing. It doesn't matter. I understand the body.
Right.
I went around telling everyone, big Samoan guy, 365 pounds, He was a linebacker, and I knocked him over. And everyone would always look blankly at me. And then one day someone said, "You mean a linesman?" I'm like, what's the difference? There's a big difference. The one actually runs, and the other just smacks people and knocks them over. And yes, so I knew nothing, but it didn't mean that I couldn't show them something that they hadn't yet thought of, because I'm coming from outside of their field. Because if we only have, if the only people we are going to consult is anyone who's ever lifted a weight before in their life, well, you've just limited yourself. Don't you want to go speak to that granny who picked up a car to save her grandchild and ask her how the hell she did that? Because that would be interesting. And one of the things was, she was so clear that she was going to do that there was no fear, no hesitation, no doubt, and therefore the entire system conspired to make it happen. But how do you hack someone? You find their fear. You find their hesitation. You find their doubt. And now you can manipulate. And if you can manipulate, you can beat. And if you can beat someone, the game's done.
Yeah, that is true.
And since the top of your shirt says resilience, and that's the part we can see, resilience is about understanding and finding the places where we have the fear, where we have the doubt and the hesitation, and at least acknowledging that that's there. Because then when someone else goes, I see it, you go, yep, I know. I'm working on it. But if you don't know that you don't know, wow, you see, you've got me all excited now. Then you're easy to hack, because then won't even know, be saying, you see that big red button on the top of your head? That was where the scissors were, or the scalpel. I'm just going to keep hitting that button. And you go, awesome, I'm going to keep hitting you too. and you can be told 1,000 times, but in that moment that you get it, everything changes. And that's the possibility we play with. And that's what's exciting.
No, I obviously, I love the work. And for me, it's exciting because I really believe that in the next, however many years, I don't know what it's going to be, but this philosophy, I believe, it's going to help change the world for the better. And I'm excited to be a part of that, and obviously helping drive that, from our PR and just building our communities and helping this, because you know, it doesn't matter. Anyone who's done the work knows how powerful it is, as long as they're open to using it, right? Like the boxing coaches,
Yeah,
right? Like some people,
but that's
we
it.
all know, yep, some people come in and they go, okay, yeah, I'm going to stay with what I do. And that's okay. However, if they're doing the work, they know how powerful it is. They know how much good it can do in the world. And
Yeah, I was
I'm
talking
just
to someone
excited to
about
help
the
grow
adoption
that.
curve. And you know, once you pass 50%, you adopt the principle because of pain, because all your athletes are losing.
Yep.
You know, it's like there's something that pops in my head that I really want to share, because it's such a powerful part of this work, and this is linked very much to Chris Corfist, who's your partner and my friend, and you know, Chris, I'm so stupid. I want to say, I think it was York. You see names, too many names. York High School. He was doing amazing stuff there, and we were doing stuff in the school. And at some point, the kids just dominated so much that they went, this isn't fun anymore because it's not fair. And they started sharing all the activation ideas with their opponents, because they basically said, we're going to beat you. But when we beat you, we want to know we didn't have an unfair advantage. And so Chris and his team would often be doing 60 quick activations on the side of the athletics track. And it wasn't even their students, their athletes, because their athletes were A-OK. It was because there was a need. They opened it up. That is what kids can teach us. It's like when I find something that gives me competitive advantage, instead of going, ha ha, I'm going to go rule the world now, can we not go, wow, that's awesome, play with it, get used to it, and then realize it's much more fun if everybody else is doing it too? Because then you realize that whole thing of, you know, as the tide rises, so do all the boats kind of idea. It's kind of, that's to me, that's the vision. That's the possibility that we have.
Well, and that's, you know, it's so funny that you saying that brings me to one of the first professional teams that I went in and taught RPR. I went in, right, and after we got done, they basically said, why are you teaching people this? We would pay, our organization would pay you just to do this with us. Why teach other people how to do this stuff? And and my whole thing from the beginning was, well, that doesn't do a lot of good in the world. This is something that, okay, if all your opponents know how to do this, then you have to be the best, right? You have to, to me, if everybody's healthy and everybody feels better and everybody's in a safer, better place, the world's much better. The competition overall is higher. Everybody, you know, I get to watch better football games as a whole.
Yeah, I'm going to share something very prevalent. And so about 10 days ago, a very good friend of mine died. It's been a tough year. There have been a lot of people who have passed away. And Mike, it was unexpected. And Mike was very pivotal in my life. And he was part of a men's group that I was part of. And it was 2010, and I was coming back from working in Miami and Florida, and I had worked on a golf event, getting paid very well. I had gone and spent 2 days with Jack Nicklaus, but somehow coming home, I felt horrendous inside. Something was wrong. I was conflicted, and I didn't understand, because technically I was being successful, and it was exactly that. It was, I realized, so how Mike fits into this is Mike sat there and went, "Oh, Doug, I dealt with this when I was younger," and gave me this wonderful advice. And he said, "You've got conflicting goals." And basically I had 3 main goals, and I could only ever achieve 2 of them, and I'd always be at the cost of the other one. And part of those goals was about having a good business, sure, making money, but reaching as many people as possible. And so the challenge was, like, when we talk about the Miami Dolphins, I can prove I was there because you can see it on my bank account. It says Miami Dolphins paid. but I always used to joke and say, you know, when their star player takes a big shit, people write about it. But yet I went in there, I trained, I worked, and I left, and you know, nothing. And because and they went from their worst season ever. And I'm not saying, I'm very clear, not saying I or the work was what turned it around. It just so happened they went from their only one game that they won in a season, and the following season they made the playoffs, but not a whisper. And that stuff devastated me, because I went into those environments thinking, wow, we're going to get better exposure, open it up quicker, reach more people. And I was young and I was naive. I'm still young, of course. But it was only when my goals started aligning that I realized that when I share and you then go share, not only am I reaching the world, more people in the world, I am making money out of it. And I'm actually also showing my son how to be in the world, because that was the other part. And it's such an interesting thing, because I fell into the trap. You know, I've got tons of stories of people I've worked with and places and teams, and you know, I can impress you, but the reason why they're interesting but they're not pivotal in my life is because it didn't extend the reach. And the thing is that the mantra that's been reflected back at me for about the last 5 years, the most, is why doesn't everybody know about this? And so you know that when RPR first started, it wasn't a comfortable birthing, you know. It's right. and that's life, and it's fine, but we're friends and we're partners, and it's a process, guys. And but the thing is that what excites me is you have so helped me achieve my goals of getting the ideas out there and getting the work out there and the principles out there, because I never, damn it, this wasn't the kind of conversation I was planning on having in your question. I thought the powerlifting, the weights was cool, but it's like when you find something that works, share it, not hold on to it, because that's scarcity. That's survival. You know, when you can go, I don't go, oh yeah, and give it away. Take ownership of it first and then give it away. And the thing is that, you know, we can see it now more than ever. The need is great. And all we're doing is we're showing people the possibilities that lie within them. And they're immense and they are exciting. And sometimes for me, I just get overwhelmed because it feels so big, the task. But at the same time, you know, I've got big guys like you. You know, we can stick the freaking world on your shoulders and you'll go, oh, please, I'm belly breathing, baby. It's easy.
Well, and that's the whole point, right? To me, is that what's been so cool with RPR is that, you know, everything, you know, obviously it's about teaching people how to do everything themselves. And what's so cool is that I look at it a little bit like the drug company model. And what I mean by that is in the US, and I assume worldwide, the drug companies, especially in the US, spend billions of dollars advertising drugs to us that we can't buy, right? So that we'll go ask our doctor for them. And to me, with RPR, what's so amazing about that is, like in our gym at the Spot Athletics, you know, we have, you know, we do everything. We do RPR before every workout, right? So people get exposed to that. And then when people are having issues or things, we say, awesome. RPR, that's like brushing your teeth for your nervous system. You do it yourself, you know, several times a day to take care of that. Be activated, that's like going to the dentist. And we've got Devi and Tyra, like people who've been through the Be Activated clinic, who are physical therapists and chiros and all that. Go see them to get the deeper work, more work, to dive deeper through.
So I've realized something that I have to share with you.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to change that analogy, because I don't like going to the dentist.
I like going to the dentist.
No. And I was thinking about it earlier, actually, I'd forgotten, but it's kind of like, let's say you sign up for a program that teaches you mastery in something, and you do it online. And so you can do it yourself and you can learn, and you get great value out of it, right? But let's actually say it's how to squat by JL. And online, I'm going, wow, that was huge. There's our I do it myself, versus going in and having a session with you. And you reflect back, you're testing, you're observing, and like Douglas Brackman was doing with the shooting, is reflecting back. So the someone with knowledge like holds a mirror to you and says, hey, this is what we're testing, this is what we're seeing. So your learning just becomes a little more. And they all, and actually the irony is that then once that person's worked with you, you're then going to send them back to do the stuff themselves, because that's how people learn. And so it's such a good hand-in-hand partnership. And you don't even have to open your mouth and get your teeth drilled.
Exactly. I mean, my whole point in that was that, to me, like with the drug company thing, is like, I want RPR to be something, it's the introduction of this concept to people, right? And so to me, it's like the commercial for whatever drug, right? That's the company just introducing people and giving them awareness that something exists that might help them. Nice. Right? So like, to me, that's like a lot of what RPR is. It's giving people awareness. Hey, there's this thing that's a different way of how the body works, it's a different lens of viewing things. And I'm now aware that there's this thing out there that can help me. And then it's like, okay, because some people, right, like, going back to your squat, some people are going to buy a squat seminar that I do on DVD and be like, this is all I need. Absolutely. Other people are going to, and that's all they do need. And other people are going to go, I want to go work with JL in person, right, on the squat. And so to me, that's what I think so amazing is, again, we talked about this in Columbus, but it is this one community, because it's growing this idea and this concept in the world that I think is so vastly needed. And for us, like, I just think, like, it's kind of what we talked about. Like, I'm happy that, we've been able to grow RPR as much as we have, and just getting people to expose to these concepts, because like I said, they can change the world. It's just, I think the world, again, we've got to get to that tipping point, right? Where all of a sudden 51% of the people know about it. So it's painful for the other 49 not to learn.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, Mr. JL, I'm really glad that we're in this together, because like that interview we did in at the Spot Athletics, there was something along the lines of, well, one of us might have to die and it ain't going to be me, No, I so appreciate that we're having the conversations and we're on this journey, and it's kind of, it really is about showing people what's possible. It's not about showing them how clever we are. It's actually showing them how amazing they are. And imagine a world where people truly understood the possibilities that they had within themselves, that most of the limitations that they ring around their lives, not a lot of them aren't as real as they think they are. And there was Emily posted a story on 3,000 Stories the other night about working with a kid who, from 2 years old, couldn't sit on the floor with his friends because his calves were so tight. And all she did was work through the sequence, unlock the calves, and suddenly, time in 5 years, he could sit with his friends on the floor, which nobody else had considered was a huge issue. And he was in class, changing his friends, and you go, oh, but man, it was his calves. And so we don't know, like, if you have a physical limitation, it's limiting other stuff. And so, hell, if we can hack your physical and help you there, maybe, just maybe, it helps you somewhere else too. But thank you, my friend, for an awesome
Thanks.
conversation.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. I obviously got a lot out of it as always, and just appreciate being with you on this journey, man. It's a fun journey, and it's I think it's a never-ending journey, which makes it for me. That's the piece that I need to make it exciting, right? Is that I know no matter how hard I work at it, it's never going to end. So I want to find the end, which I know isn't there. Which just for me, like. I just love being on this journey with you, and I appreciate not just being on this journey with you, but just over the last, over the couple of years, is that friendship, and obviously all the conversations we have, man. It's a lot of fun, and I always enjoy it.
Thank you, good man.